becoming a very snaky kind of year. So I've got a king snake and a North American racer living right up here. This is a gray rat snake. He doesn't eat other snakes. He does eat rats and mice and stuff like that though. And I need those boxes. Come on, buddy, get on out of here. Let's go. No, just go. Don't get cheeky. Just go. All you gotta do. No, don't you. Oh, don't hide in there. I don't want you in there. Come on. Here, let's go on over here. There you go. Not back under the pallets. I use these. Go on. He's trying to buzz his tail, make me think he's all big and bad. Go on. So I get a lot of woodenware from Midway Bee Supply. Albert Zook and his brother-in-law, Albert Mast, in Etheridge, Tennessee. And I took the trailer down today to see if he had 200 assembled 10-frame mediums ready to go. And he said he did, but he had them committed on other orders, and this is a busy time of year, so he didn't need to turn those loose, because as soon as he let me have them, you know, the rightful owners would show up. So I asked him how quickly he could have those put together. This is Monday morning, and he says by Wednesday afternoon they can have those 200 put together. So trying to plan my work for the week. I think I've got to go unload my enclosed trailer so that I can free it up to go get a shipment of bottles, honey bottles. And I think I'm going to try to do that tomorrow. And that gives me a little bit of free time to assemble some unassembled frames. And then he's closed on Thursday, so I'll probably try to go pick those boxes up on Friday and then wax dip on Saturday. My wife's off work on the weekends, and she's got a birthday party to take the kids to, so that means I can work myself like a dog on Saturday. Doing 300 wax dip boxes in a day is a lot for me by myself. It's a long day. I don't think I've ever done that many in a day, but we're gonna try it and see how it goes. I need to do heavy hive work this week. I've got nukes that are gonna need boxes. I need to shake some bees down out of supers and get excluders underneath them. And I need to check my hives for swarm cells again, because I didn't have time to last week. So I think I'll be doing that through the middle of the week. Plan the work, work the plan. Problem is the plan is chaos right now. The schedule is chaos. It's supposed to rain on and off all week too, so I've got to dodge the rain, watch the weather pretty close. Growing is exposing big deficiencies in material handling and transportation. This is what I mean when I say I've got to grow bigger teeth. I've got to get good at this kind of stuff. Little utility trailer with a ramp back door, not going to work long term for receiving pallets. You know, it's fun to show your successes to people. Takes humility to show your failures. I strive to be humble. I left my painter's pole out here because I thought I was going to have more swarms issue out of this yard. And it looks like we do. I think I've got this pretty well addressed now, but this problem is going to continue to linger because I made these dirty splits and I didn't deal with it in the ideal way, which would be to go through and find the old queens and kill them and make splits with cells and get the right number of cells in all the splits and all this. I just set boxes off, move stuff around, try to weaken them down so I keep most of the bees at home. I just didn't have the manpower to work on them that day, spend hours doing this. So I've been monitoring this yard pretty routinely since then looking for swarms, and I'm gonna knock this one down, try to get them in the box before the storms roll in. We've got extremely strong thunderstorms coming in today, and then 2 fronts coming through tomorrow. So on the severe weather outlook, we're a 3 out of 4 tomorrow. Potential for tornadoes, and we've also got 60-mile-an-hour winds today and tomorrow. So I'm going around making sure everybody's got a concrete block on them. Swarms are usually pretty gentle, but with this weather moving in, these are not. They're very stingy. They don't like my camera, they don't like my face, they don't like me. They don't like anything right now. Need to bump the tree limb again. They've got some collecting back up there, but I think I've got most of them down here. I wish I could find the queen. I'd stick her in the hive and we'd be done with this. I haven't seen her yet though. I think that's probably got them, especially with this rain coming. They're gonna be feeling pretty homey when it's pouring rain for the next 2 days. So got bees moving in. They're clustering on the outside, but the bees underneath are moving in. So I think we've probably got them. Again, I've got a gallon of syrup in there. I'm sure it'll happen someday, but so far, if I feed colonies I feed swarms as soon as I get them in the box, I have never had one abscond. My theory is that they are so engorged and ready to draw wax that if you feed them, it just triggers them to start drawing wax. And once they are drawing wax in there, they're committed. It's home. So I think feeding them right off the bat forces them to draw wax the first night, and then they're committed. It's their house. One more thing I'll say about swarms, they are pretty elastic on where you put them. I think if you move them the same day or the same night, then I will be able to move them from right over here onto this empty hive stand tonight or early tomorrow morning, and none of them will get lost. They'll be fine moving them to right here. But if I wait till tomorrow night, nope, can't do it. So move them the first night in the same bee yard, I think is fine. But if you wait, you're gonna have to move them 3 miles or 3 feet a day. So it's Wednesday, May the 8th, and it's been a busy week already, a lot going on. But I've got to get my bee work done, and I don't have enough boxes. So I'm assembling frames and putting boxes together. I've got 22 or 23 or 24 nukes that are potentially going to need a third. And then I've got some that are going to need a second. So I figure 30, maybe 32 boxes would be safe for that, would get me through those. And then my production colonies, I figure another 30 or 40 boxes would be pretty safe. I think we've got a week and a half or 2 weeks left of decent flow. The weather has not been terrific this week, and we've got strong storms coming in tonight, so that could mess things up a bit. Yeah, so I think I probably need like 65 to 75 boxes over the next couple of days, and I don't have that many done. I've got 30, 55 or so. So that's where I'm at. It's May the 9th. It just stopped raining. We had terrible storms last night. A large tornado, I've heard it was an EF4, went through part of Columbia, Murray County, Tennessee, county over from me. That's where my bee club is. I'm a member of the Columbia area beekeepers. And it went south of one of my friends and north of one of my friends, and I'm afraid that some other people at the club were impacted some, but I haven't heard for sure yet. I just went through my nuke yard because I don't have block on top of any of those hives, and was looking to see if any lids were blown off or anything. They were fine. Now I'm headed down to the yard that I had some hives toppled last year because it catches a lot of wind. It was a long night. The tornado in Columbia was yesterday afternoon. Then there was another line of storms, so we got up 1 in the morning and didn't get back to bed until like 2 in the morning. There was a cell that was coming toward us, and it could have strengthened or weakened, and it weakened as it got toward us, so it was a severe thunderstorm. But it had rotation, and Doppler indicated potential tornado as it was coming in. So that's fun. The whole house is exhausted. Getting kids up in the middle of the night is tough. 8 and 5-year-old, they like to sleep through the night. I've got to get through all of my hives in the next couple of days, and I need to do an more intensive workload on them this week. And it's just absolutely soggy again. We've had inches of rain this week. So I think I'm going to have to wait till at least tomorrow to go to the yard that I got stuck in last week. Lots going on, and the weather's not helping too much. So I'm driving out to my home yard to check the bees, and you can see this strange looking trail. Looks like it's snapping turtle season. That's a big one. That is a big turtle. Goodness gracious. I don't have small feet. He's quite a bit bigger than my boot. Easy, buddy. Easy. You're okay. I'm not going to hurt you. But you're going to hurt me if you can. Live action. You're cheeky. So I'm here in my newest yard. I just finished my favorite activity. Got it weed-eated. And I'm going through these nukes. Some of them are big, some of them are pretty small. And the big ones have drawn quite a bit of comb in this upper box. I dropped them in here last week and gave them a gallon of feed, set a box on the big ones. So the bigger ones have drawn out quite a bit of comb. Again, my nuke system, when they get several frames drawn up here, end to end, up and down, then I will move the feeder up. I will take 2 frames that are almost completely drawn out of the top. Usually we'll move the outside frame and the bottom over to the side because it will be completely drawn, and drop these 2 frames down next to it. This way I know that the bottom box is completely drawn if the feeder is in the top box. I don't need to go down there to checkerboard or worry with it in any way. It's complete. If I'm going to run them into a triple, which is a double deep size colony, I'll do the same thing. I'll wait till this box is complete before I move the feeder up to the 3rd box. This way I don't have to take notes or write anything on the lid. It's just a management practice. I know me and what I do. It's done the same way every time. So I can open the lid and say, okay, this is a good hive. It's faster than the others, and it's probably going to need another box in a week or maybe 2 weeks. So one more note. I'm going through here pretty quick today. This one I can look at them and tell they probably have got some syrup left in the bottom because I've already been through half the yard. But I can also move one frame over. I see the glint of syrup down in the bottom. Close them up, move on. I don't need to do anything with them. I'm only feeding the ones that have taken their syrup. We are on a flow, so some hives will shut down syrup intake a bit. The ones that are hungry and ambitious will still take it, so I'll feed those. If they're drawing foundations, I'll feed them. The ones that are not, I'm not going to feed them if they're not going to take it. So there's a problem in this hive that created my beetle explosion that I had last year. I had friends who were beekeepers who lived 30, 40 miles away from me and saw very few hive beetles last year, and I had an explosion of hive beetles. Lost colonies because of it. I came through winter with poor colonies because of it. I'm going to show you what happened. There's pros and cons to everything. And these feeders, on small colonies, just on the small ones, they don't have enough bee power to keep their sisters from drowning in these open wells. It is less pronounced on the man lake style and more pronounced on the mother lode style because they've got a bigger open well. Well, as you can see in there, hive beetles have laid eggs in that. Now, what I did last year is I would drain those out on the ground or dump it on the ground, thinking that, these larvae have not finished growing. So even these, especially these little bitty larvae, they'll just die, and that's the end of it. That is not what happens. Those undernourished larvae become small hive beetles. The big larvae become big hive beetles. But almost all of them survive to pupate in the ground. So all last spring and summer, when I was dumping these dead bees out on the ground, I was giving the larvae exactly what they needed to pupate and become adult hive beetles. So as a management solution, I treated last fall with chlorantraniliprole and a Scott's Grub X. That's a pretty bee-safe chemical, but it does kill beetle larvae. It kills hive beetle larvae, but not bees. So I treated heavily under my hives last year, and then I treated again this year with a broadcast spreader. So I think even when I find these that are like this, I can dump that out on the ground. The better yet would be to dump it into a bucket, take it home and put it in a burn barrel, just for biosecurity reasons. I think that would be the best. But I think even if I do dump it out on the ground this year, those beetles are going to die. And further, since these bees are not taking syrup, I'm not going to give them anymore. I'll get rid of this mess and wait until they get a little bigger before I start feeding them again. So I'm carrying 40 supers of foundation around with me today. I hope I need to use those. That will mean that we're on a good honey flow. I'm also carrying some bottom boards and top lids around. I hope I don't need to use these, because that will mean I've got swarm cells and I'm making unplanned splits. Be prepared for anything though. The bees, they don't always do what I want them to. You just have to manage them on a percentage. You try to win more than you lose. But they're working with me, but they're also fighting against me. I need some guidance. It looks like we lost the battle on this one. That's an emerged queen cell, emerged queen cell, emerged queen cell, emerged queen cell. I got some more that are stuck to these bars. That's a queen cell. Low population, so this hive swarmed. I'll just make a note on it. Check back in 3 weeks or so, make sure they're queen right. Looks like the nymphs are out already. That's great. People ask what to do about ticks in your bee yard. I don't use pesticides in the bee yard except for grub X for hive beetles. I use about 3 of these a year. 3, maybe 4. It's permethrin. Use it on clothing only, not on skin. But legs up to the hip. Every day. Every single day. And I don't have many problems. Still get some, but not many. So I'm just spot checking some of my big production colonies here that are making honey. These bees have got, well, first of all, the boxes were offset, so I checked this one 2 weeks ago for swarm cells. I know that because it's my management. This box, the first honey super, is full. It's a, goodness, that's a 50-pound box easy. The next box I put on them, they've got 4 or 5 frames in there, a little bit of weight. Come down below the third. Ow, why did you sting me? The bees are not happy today. I will show you guys a little tip. You can smoke a sting site, and that helps a little bit to get rid of the smell. But if you wipe a little bit of creosote on your finger or sting site or whatever from the smoker, don't burn yourself. If you do that, I think it helps. I think it helps. So we're looking not too swarmy. I'd say this hive's in good shape. That's what I'm looking for. They're making honey and not trying to swarm. I know somebody's gonna ask, well, doesn't offsetting the supers like this let water in the hive? Yes, it does. They don't seem to mind this time of year. I wouldn't do this if it was cold. I've got these internal feeders in here, and they actually had just a touch of water in the bottom. But strong colonies in warm weather, I don't think it bothers them a bit. I do think it helps give them extra ventilation to dry the honey down. And it may help with swarm impulse as well. All right, one more thing on this offset super thing. I staple my entrance reducers in so that, well, I gave them some crusty old comb. I gave them some dead out comb and they have cleaned it out. So I leave my entrance reducers in year round. I staple them in. I don't have to worry with pulling those out, putting them in, all that stuff. You can see at this time of year, if the bees need extra room, they can use these offset supers as more entrance space. It's easier to do this than it is to put in and take out reducers. Dick Brickner is the president of my bee club, and he's got a broodminder hive scale. I love seeing his updates on the flow. I decided I wanted to be able to do that too. You know, I can look at this yard and see that I've only put out 2 supers in this yard, so the flow this last week was lighter than it was the week before. I know that, but I'd really like to capture hard data, week to week, year to year. So that's what these are for. I'm putting them in a southern yard, a middle yard, and a northern yard. Slightly different environments, and I should be able to see when the sumac flow kicks in, persimmon, tulip poplar, black locust, all that stuff. Should be able to see when they really start bringing in the nectar. I'm late on it this year. I didn't want to spend the money, and I finally decided to, and I think we're past the peak of the early flow. But I should be able to get some good data for later in the year.